What's up guys, Rain here and welcome to Factions. Today we're on HawaiiMC's OP faction to teach you guys how to play. The main idea of factions is you want to become the richest player. Now how you do that is completely up to you. There's three main ways, ways that people get rich in faction type servers. One is through farming, that is mainly like auto cactus farms, netherwart fortune farms, and like wheat farms, and all the typical stuff, cocoa beans, and all that kind of stuff. The other way is through grinding. Now, there's two types of grinding. There's mob head grinding, which is like head hunting, and there is mob drop grinding. Now, there's not much of a difference there, except for one you sell heads on a sign, the other one you get the drops from the mobs and you sell them in the shop. Now, OP Factions is a mob drop service, so I'll be teaching you that route. The last way to make money is to raid other people. Now, that is probably one of the more beneficial ways to make money because you can steal spawners from people that are trying to make it legitly. That's hilarious, isn't it? Anyway, that's basically how you become rich in factions. Now, in this video, we are going to be learning how to do the faction plugin commands. So how to create a faction, how to modify a faction, how to make it do whatever kind of stuff you want to learn. Anyway, so let's get started with that. Now, first off, you probably want to do FV. The reason for that is you want to figure out what version of factions you are using. Now, most servers should allow FV, some don't, but mine does, so that's what all you need to know. Anyway, we are using the latest version of factions, which is 2.8. Now, if you're using a earlier version of factions, some of these commands I'm going to be talking about today will be different, but I will mention them in the video if they are different and all that, and which ones aren't in the older versions of factions. Yeah, anyway, let's get started. So, one of the first commands you want to do is flist, after you do F version, of course, because that's the first command. Anyway, flist basically tells you the top factions of the server, and also if your faction name is already taken. So you can look through these and see if your faction name is already taken, or you can just check out all the factions. And that's cool. That's all cool and stuff. Anyway, so let's go ahead and create a faction. So we are gonna call ourselves A faction today. So we are the A faction. Now we can also add a description to our faction, and using F description and then adding a description, we are the A faction. We now have a description of that. So basically where descriptions appear is in the factions lookup and also in titles. As you can see, that yellow text here, this is where the description will be. So if my faction was named A faction, it will be A faction on top, and then we are A faction. So it's as simple as that. Now let's say we didn't like the name of our faction and we wanted to change it. So we can do F name B faction. So now we are B faction. Oops, my bad. You want to put it together. It's got to be a one word name. Can't be two words. Actually, I don't know why I did it separate. I think thought I was writing a description or something. I don't know. Anyway, so now we have this different name for our faction. As you can see in the chat, we have the name. Now you might be wondering what this little prefix thing is here. Now this is actually related to factions. Now some people leave the prefix with the name, so let's say it would be like an A box, and then basically on other servers it may look like this. Oops, B faction and A and then blah. So sometimes it looks like this. The prefix is with the name. On my server I separated it so that you can tell what's what. And it looks nicer in my opinion. Now, prefixes dictate what rank you have in that faction. So, this would be owner, this would be an officer or a moderator, this would be a member, and this will be a recruit. Now, recruits usually have no permissions but F home. Now, you can deny that using F perms, we'll go over that later. And members usually have permission to build in the faction, that's usually the case. And use most of the commands, like they can deposit in the faction, but they can't withdraw from the faction. So that's good. And then officers usually have the withdraw and things like invite, kick, all that kind of stuff. And then owners have all the permissions, obviously. So we're going to be going over the commands for factions. Now, to invite another player to your faction, what you'd want to do is do /f invite and then player. Now, in the current version that I'm using, this doesn't work anymore. It's now, you need to actually add an extra um, argument or parameter to the method or to the command. So in 2.8, you actually need to do f invite add and then the player's name. So let's say I want to invite myself, do add and then 0 and Z, and then I invited myself to the faction. Now let's say we want to revoke that person's faction invite. We can do /invite remove and then 0 and Z, and then we basically would remove their faction. Now of course what it's saying is I'm already a member of the faction, which we already know that, so yeah, we don't have to worry about that. That's just because we're the owner of it. That's the reason we can't do it. But let's say we invited a player and we want them to join. So basically what they have to do is F join and then the name of the faction. So our faction is named B faction, so they will do /B F join B faction. But I'm already a member, like I said, so we can't do it on this account. Now let's say you're a moderator or an owner and you want to kick someone from your faction. You can do /F kick and then do the name like this. Put my name here and you can kick yourself out of the faction. Now I can't kick myself because I'm the owner, like I said, so you can do F leave, of course, and then that would disband your faction or give it to someone else. Anyway, the next command is, oh, it is F leave. Anyway, we already gone over that, so we don't need to do that. There's also F disband, which is what you would do if you are the owner of the faction and you just want to disband the faction and start a new one. So let's say we did that and now we don't have a faction anymore. We can do F in or F create and call ourselves the C faction now. So now we have a new faction. Um, Now we probably want to start claiming some land. So let's go ahead and go out to the wilderness. We can do /wild and it'll teleport you randomly out to the wilderness. But there is a cooldown on this, so be warned. Anyway, so factions claim in 16 by 16 chunks. So let's say we're trying to claim this area for a faction. Now we can't really tell where the outline ends or begins, so we are going to be learning that by claiming it. So when you do F claim, there's multiple ways you can claim. So you can claim in a single chunk, or you can claim auto, which means when you walk around you'll start claiming things, or you can fill your claims in, or you can make a square claim, which is like, let's say we did a 2 square claim. It'll basically claim, or one, I don't know, anyway, it basically claims in a square. Circle claim claims in a circle, of course, and then claim all would claim all in your current faction area or something. It's not very descriptive anyway. We are going to be claiming this one chunk here so we can tell where the 16 by 16 is. We are going to be marking one side with red and the other one with green. Or we can outline it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we need to find the faction land. So this is our faction right here. And this is the wilderness. And this is where our faction ends. This is also wilderness. And so we found a corner already. This is the corner of our faction now. Factions go 16 this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, move. 7. Move. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that should be the ending of our faction claims. As we can see, it is. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and that is the end of our other faction claim. So if we do, let me grab my wand and we can quick rotate a square around this in walls 3514. Now you can see that this is our faction claim chunk. So this is how faction claims. They claim by chunks of 16 by 16. So if you claim this one here, we would have another chunk here that is the same size as this. As you can see, if we walk out this way, same size basically. And if we did it on here, same size basically. And it's not a 16 by 16 around you, no, it's the chunk that you're standing in. So that's what you need to know. Some people don't know that, but now you do. Anyway, let's say we want to unclaim this land. So you can do F unclaim 1. Or let's say we want to get rid of all our land. We can do F unclaim all. All. oops. So you want to do all and then your faction name. So our faction name is C faction. And basically we unclaimed all our faction land. Now let's go simply reclaim this one. And yeah, now we have this one. Now, how much land you can claim depends on your own power. So we'll have to show you how to see that. So in the newer factions, there's a thing called F status. Now what F status is a checker for your power, and it tells you everyone in your faction's power. So let's say if I was in another faction, everyone in there would have their power showing up here when we do F status. Now, to check how much power your faction has and how much land you're able to claim and how much land you currently have, you would do /F and then it'll show your own faction. Now, in the older versions of faction, the command for that would be F.WHO. So, if you are playing an older version of factions, that's what you'd use to see both of those tabs, the F status and the F faction, or the faction description and all that would all be through that one command. You'll see everything, like there will be a number here popping up next to the player with their faction power. So in my opinion, this version of factions is a lot better to use, because then you can see everyone's in a separate area and how much factions and if they're online or offline right now, and it's a lot better than looking in here and seeing the power and all that. Anyway, so if you're wondering what this is, it is your land power and your max power, as just what it says right here. It's exactly what it is right here. So we claimed one land, and that's how much land we have. Now let's say our land went under a power. So let's say we had we had one power and we claimed one land, and that's all we had. We could technically not get overclaimed like that, but let's say we had 0 power. We can get overclaimed then, which basically means people can come up to our base and just claim over it. So you want to make sure the amount of land you have is always more. No, wait, no, my bad. Do not do what I just said there. Make sure the amount of land you have is always less than the amount of power you have. And you want to make sure that everyone in your faction has the most power they can have. So if they can get 10 power, you want to make sure they have 10 power. If they have negative power, you probably want to kick them out of your faction, because they're not actually helping at all being in your faction. Because of course, if you add more people to your faction, you're gonna have more max power you can claim. But if they are negative in power, all they're going to be doing is drawing down your current power, which will make your clan almost claimable. Usually. Depends on how big your land is. Anyway, so let's go ahead and teach you how to do some chunk commands. So we are going to be teaching you how to set a home in here. So let's say we want to set a home on top of this green block here. You can simply do F set home, and this will create a home for you. And if you do F home from over here, it will TP us to right here. Now usually you have a 3-second cooldown. Of course, I am the owner of the server, so I do have a instant cooldown, which is why I don't play on this account. I play on my alt account on the server. Anyway, let's see, what else can we go over? Now let's say we want to unset that home. So what you do is F unset home. Now in earlier versions of factions, this command was not there. So what you would have to do to unset a home is unclaim that current land and then reclaim it, and that would unset the home. So whatever land you claim the F home in, you want to unclaim that particular chunk and then reclaim it right afterwards. Okay, let's see. Now there are some other commands you can use here, like F title. So let's say we want to give ourselves a title in our faction. So when we talk in like the chat or whatever, there's not really an F chat, but you can give us a title. So when we talk to each other in whatever chat we're talking in, we'll have a title. Or actually no, not a chat, my bad. If we talk in not a chat but a, what is it? No, it would show up in the faction description here. My bad. I'm sorry, I'm brain farting all over this video, but it would show up in the faction thing here, as you can see. Oops, my bad. You want to rename myself to that. So basically, if we go FF now, as you can see, it says I am the owner. So it's a lot easier to read that, and you can give titles to anyone in your faction to call them like a noob. You can call them a noob if you want to call them that. Then we can be a noob in here, and if you do FF, it will show that I am a noob now. and you can do whatever with that. So that's a cool command for titling people in your faction. Now, if you want to promote someone to a, let's say you have a member or a recruit in your faction and you want to make them a member, you can just do simply F rank that person, and oops, you can rank the person to a recruit if you wanted to. Huh. Anyway, so one thing you need to know is if you are the owner of your faction and you promote yourself to a recruit, you will disband your faction. That's interesting as fuck. I did not know that, and that's hilarious. So, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna F create the same faction, C faction. So now we have our faction back. But yeah, that's basically how you promote people. There's recruit, there's member, oops, member, there's and then there's officer. So it's that's the commands you basically do. Now there's also money commands you can do. Now it is currently disabled on my server, so I don't think it will go through. Yeah, faction based are disabled, but basically you can do F money and it'll show you a bunch of commands. Now the main commands you can use is F money D, which is deposit, and then you put the amount here, and then the other one is F money withdraw, which will take the money out there and you put numbers there, like I said, and that's how you do the faction bait kind of thing. Now there is also F access, which will basically grant a specific player access to this faction land or another faction to this faction land. Like let's say we want to F access X chemo to this faction, so we use X chemo X, oops, chemo X, and yes. So this will give them the ability to edit this faction land. Now let's say we want to give a faction permission here. So let's give Illuminati permission to edit here. So now Illuminati and Xchemo has permission to edit here. That's pretty cool, huh? Anyway, you can also just give perms to make it so like recruits can't build in your faction or and all that cool stuff like that. Anyway, so the other thing my bad. The other thing you need to know is how to enemy people. So let's say you are trying to raid someone and then their faction members come online. Now, if you're in their faction land, you can't actually PvP them unless you are an enemy to them. So what you need to do is slash F enemy Illuminati or whatever the faction name is. So oops, my bad. I put a period there for some reason. I'll do that, and now I am enemies to Illuminati, and as you can see, they come up here. Now let's say you want to be truced with someone. So usually trucing people would just mean you don't want to PvP them, kind of thing. You don't want to PvP them necessarily, or you don't really want to raid them or whatever, so you truce them. And you can do that by doing F truce and then name of the faction. So let's see if we can do it to Illuminati. Now they will have to agree to be truce before we are truced with them. So currently we aren't enemies anymore, but we are neutral until oh, my bad, I'm jumbling words right now, until they accept it. The other thing we can do is F ally Illuminati. Now most of the time by default, if you ally someone, they will have access to your F home, so be wary about that. Don't just ally everyone. You will have permission to the F home by default, so what you could do to deny that is use F perm, and to do that you do F, oops, my bad, F perm, and you can F perm list, and it'll show you all the perms. Now build, or to show all the perms for everyone, you can do that as well. So the leaders can do everything as you can see, but they can't pain build, which I'm not really sure what that means. They can't take damage from building. I'm not sure. That's I don't really know what that means, but everything else basically you can tell. So apparently, unless you're an officer, you can't see everyone's status in your faction. But you can allow that to members if you want, and you can edit all of these using perm set and then the relation. So the relation being any one of these. These are the names for the relation. So true would be truce, neutral would be neutral, enemy. I don't know if you can type the full thing. We'll check in a second actually. So let's say we want to deny F home from our allies. As you can see, home right here is allowed, so we're gonna try go ahead and do that. So F perm set, and the perm is home, and the relationship is ally. So we'll put all. I'm not sure if ally works. We'll see. And we want to put no. So as you can see, now allies don't have permission to homes, and only recruits up actually have permission to homes. So we can also take it away from recruits. Let's say if we wanted to, we could do that too. So now you can see our recruits cannot do it as well. So this can get really, really complicated. As you can see, you can create up some cool ass factions on here and do a bunch of cool things that is going to trip people out and they don't know what the heck you are doing. Anyway, this is one of the most important parts of factions now. This is what's going to allow you to create factions super easily that cannot be modified within it, so you can't be insided and all this extra stuff. I mean, I can't even explain how big this part of the factions is. It can get very, very detailed. Anyway, let's say we don't want any relationship with the other factions here. We can also do F neutral. And this basically, oops, my bad. You want to do it to a faction, so let's say Illuminati. If we do this, now we are completely neutral with them and we have nothing in common with them. We're not an ally, truce, or an enemy. So, which it already was, but that's basically just how you neutral people. So let's say we're enemy with them and we want to be neutral. That's basically how you do it. Now, I don't think there's anything else we really need to go over in here. I mean, there's, oh, we also can show you how to use the F map. That's what we can do. So, yeah. So in the newer factions, like I said, the older factions you use F.A.Q to actually check out what players did, or what faction players are in and all that. But now it's a little bit different. You can actually do F.P, which is F or factions player, and then you can search up the name. So like Zero and Z, it'll show you that that's all my info right there. And then of course you can do F, and then the faction name, which would be C faction, I believe is my name. And of course you can see the faction and what everything about it and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically how that works. But all of that was handled through F.A.Q before. So if you're on an older factions that doesn't have FF, go ahead and use F.A.Q to find out players' info and all that. Other than telling people how to become leader, the only thing left is how to use F-map. Now, F-map really shows you all the chunks around the map, as you can see. Let's go back over there to where actually was claim one chunk here, claim one. And as you can see, we have a chunk here, and it will appear on the F map. Unfortunately, we're standing in it, so it will tell us in the top that we're in C faction land and all that. And these are the raid or the chunk coordinates basically. And as you can see, our faction land is right there. So if you go up and up to the, or where is it? You go up more. So if you go up more, oh no, did I miss it? Was it this way? Was it this way? It's probably this way. There we go. So we found the faction land. And basically you can use this to find raids for you basically. So you go around the map with this on, and you can actually toggle it on using F-map on. And when you walk to a new chunk, it will update. As you can see, that thing is getting farther away. And if you go back, it gets closer. And yeah. And as you see, it's spamming chat with this map. F-map off. And that's how you disable it basically. And so that's how you can find raids. You can find people's land claims and then go over to it and then try raid them and all that kind of stuff. And that's basically it for how to use the faction plugin and all the commands for it. That is important. There are some other commands that you may see in here, but for the most part, that is basically everything. I basically taught you everything that is about factions. Yeah, anyway. So thank you for watching, guys. This was the first video of the series. I did take like 20 times trying to record this video, so this I'm glad I finally finished the whole thing. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Peace.